Let's be real. Your first few launches are all about survival. You're figuring out tech, timing, and how to string together sentences on a webinar without blacking out. But once you've got the launch basics down, it's time for a glow up. In today's episode, I'm giving you the inside scoop on 6 extra strategies that you can layer on top of your next launch to increase conversions, boost engagement, and make the whole thing feel more exciting for both you and your audience. Let's dive in. Being an online business owner is full of ups and downs. Some days you can't imagine going back to your 9-to-5, and other days you want to burn your whole business to the ground. We get it.
Welcome to Chaos to Conversions, a podcast of practical, no BS strategies to grow your online business. Each week, we're chatting about launching, copywriting, mindset, and more, so you can make sense of the chaos and do more of what works.
Join the conversation and let's grow together. Welcome back to the 5th episode of the Launch Your Way series, the last one where we are breaking down different launch styles so that you can find your best fit for your audience and your business. Today's focus is on adding extras for your launch glow up. All right, so you've already decided on your core launch strategy. Let's pretend you've already got 1 or 2 under your belt. You've figured out the tech. You're feeling more confident. It doesn't matter if you've chosen a webinar, challenge, email only, video series. Doesn't matter what type of launch specifically you've chosen. It is working, and you can now start stacking on some extra elements. If you want, this is a totally optional bonus episode, but these extra elements can go a long way to do things like increase urgency and trust, warm up people who might be kind of sitting on the fence, or maybe they tagged along for your last launch but didn't join, and that happens a lot, by the way, and now we're trying to get them to convert. Some of these that I'm going to talk about will actually add additional revenue to your launch, and overall just make your launch feel more like an experience rather than a one-off type of like webinar maybe that they're popping into and then they get an email to follow up and then you don't really talk about your launch or your offer anymore. And it just feels sort of like a one-off thing rather than a whole experience. So let's talk about 6 different launch extras that can really pack a punch and get your audience off the fence and hopefully into your cart. Is that a song? I think that's kind of playing on a song, but I didn't really mean to. Okay, let's dive in. So number 1 is an open house. So an open house is kind of just like what it sounds. It's a live event where potential buyers can join you live and get a sneak peek inside your course, ask questions, and ask overall anything that they might want to know and see literally what is inside your membership, course, group program portal. So here is how I would go about implementing it. I would probably decide to host it on Zoom, just like a regular, more chill kind of meeting with people and leave it open for anyone who wants to come. So send out an extra email inviting people to an open house where it'll be casual, not a sales pitch. You can come on and they can come on, I should say, and ask any questions they might have about what it's like to join your course or be a part of your program. And you're basically on Zoom, speaking with them, answering questions live, walking them through the platform, course materials, sharing any kind of like behind the scenes things that you think they might want to see, modules, extra bonuses. And it's kind of like that extra touch point to answer questions in real time. Open houses can be super beneficial. Now, of course, not all of these are going to be a great fit for everybody. So listen to these 6 ideas and decide which, 1 or maybe 2 you might want to try. But open houses are really great in the way that they can, get extra face time with you, which will help to build trust. Some people really like to kind of see inside the program before they buy. So that could increase transparency, which would also hopefully boost conversions when they're able to kind of get that extra help, that extra hand-holding from you to really see what's inside your program. The second add-on that you can consider is a live or pop-up community. Now, I say community because you certainly don't have to use Facebook, but you obviously could if you wanted to. So this could be a pop-up like group, like a Facebook group, or it could be more like a pop-up channel or form of communication like Slack, like Voxer, introducing Circle Space or using Kajabi communities if that's something that you have access to. But the important thing to keep in mind is whatever this community is, it is only open during the launch period and the launch event. So you're probably only managing it for usually about 2, maybe 3 weeks. So here's how you would implement this extra launch bonus. You would invite the registrants of your webinar, challenge, video series, whatever your launch method is. You would be inviting just those registrants. This is not necessarily something that you are inviting everybody in your audience to. The purpose of this is to add an extra like oomph and an extra layer to people who are already registered for your launch event. So we only really want to invite those people. Now, of course, we want as many people as possible registered for your launch event, but this would be something that you would put on the group. We'll just call it a Facebook group, for example, would be something that you would put on the thank you page for after they've registered. Now come join the Facebook group. You would be putting it in the confirmation emails, the follow-up emails, trying to get as many people as possible into the community. Usually about 50% of your registrants being in the pop-up community is a good kind of benchmark if you're someone who likes numbers and just wants to know like, well, how many people should be in there? 50% is a great number to shoot for. Now, once you are within and you're running and managing this pop-up community, you can use it for a lot of things. So creating theme discussions, takeaway post where people can comment what they're learning, which is a great way to grab some testimonials too, giving away prizes, daily reminders, check-ins, follow-up questions, engagement questions. That is sometimes why I hesitate in having people add on pop-up communities, because it's just one more like extra thing to think about in terms of how are you going to engage these people. But if you already have a pretty successful like webinar or challenge that has been converting, it can be super amazing and increase conversions so much by getting a bit of extra engagement from your audience this way. So it'll definitely increase the buzz about your offer. It'll make people feel like they belong to a community and that they're also a part of this. Like we mentioned earlier, that the launch is more of an experience rather than just kind of like a one-off thing. And if your offer is like a membership or a course or a program that has a lot to do with community, or maybe you offer a community within your program, this can be a really great kind of like an open house, try before you buy kind of way for people to get into this pop-up community and see like how it is to work with you and what your community might be like. All right, the third idea is a pop-up bonus training. So this is, just like it sounds, a surprise or like sort of surprise, a seemingly unplanned live or pre-recorded session that can be added mid-launch to address a key objection or add value to your audience with something that they have been like asking about. So this one can be really beneficial to add. It can be a little bit tricky because usually I also recommend seeing what kind of questions or objections or feedback you're getting and then doing a bonus training on whatever that objection is. Now, if you've been launching for a while and you're literally always getting like the same question, the same objection, you could probably consider, pre-recording it or pre-scripting it, and then you'd be ready to go and it would be a little bit less of a lift. But if you're, not sure if this is maybe the first or second time hopefully the second or third time you're launching and you're not haven't really been paying attention specifically to what people are asking, if you think you want to try this strategy with a pop-up bonus training, pay really close attention to the questions people are asking on the webinar or within your challenge group or you're getting via email, and design your pop-up training around this. So this would be something that you would drop around mid-cart for a variety of reasons. One, usually things are slumping a little bit mid-cart and sales are slower, and this can be a great little boost. So going live or dropping your pre-recorded session mid-cart could help to address any objections for people who are sitting on the fence. If you feel like you're not getting a lot of specific objections or questions, you could go with something a little bit more generic to show people one of, I would say, three things. Like, one, can I really do this? So showing them an additional step to get started and building that capability with them. So that's going to address like their fear of not being able to do whatever it is that your program's transformation will eventually be. Or the other objections that people often give are based on time. So thinking about ways that you can get people to jumpstart, thinking along the lines of like what to focus on if you're starting late or if you already feel behind, or how to make space for this membership course in your busy schedule and get them off the fence and not as worried about time or their own capability, if you don't have a particular bonus training topic in mind. Now, these pop-up bonus trainings can be really helpful because they're going to add, hopefully, a lot of value to your audience because it's something that they have been wondering or thinking about. It's going to position you as being knowledgeable and expert, also generous for giving away a little bit more of your time to help them get closer to their goal. And like I mentioned, if you were doing this mid-cart, it will hopefully revive any lacking engagement with your launch, whether that's in your Facebook group or if it is just your mid-cart in general. And you don't necessarily have to offer this pop-up training in a community. You could, if you're not adding on a community to this launch, you could invite people via Zoom, or you could even just do it on like Instagram or Facebook and let your launch registrants know that you are, delivering this live training and where it'll be. The next launch extra you could consider adding on would be an upsell. So this is something that is a higher priced offer presented after somebody buys. So they've already committed to purchasing your program, your course, your membership, your subscription, your group program. And this is something they've already said yes to that. This is something extra added on after. So if there's a VIP version, an extra one-on-one call, a bonus module, another course you could layer or add to the original, sale point, anything like that. So something extra that is going to add more value to what they've already bought or take them to the next kind of step. Now you can do this a lot of different ways. You can add it on directly if you have something like Thrivecart or Kajabi. Upsells are really easy to add to your current offer. You also want to make sure that it is offered immediately as possible post-checkout. So it's easier for people to think like, yes, I do need this too, and add that on. We want to make sure that it is related to your current offer and not something like off the wall or like, what the heck is this? So thinking like something that's more support, more one-on-one, getting them faster results are going to be the best type of upsells that you can attach to your main offer. Something that is complementary, saving them time, getting them more support. Now, upsells can be a great way to increase your revenue per sale, and people who are maybe a little bit more invested or who have been around your audience longer might be more likely to take these type of offers. But even if you feel like your audience is kind of like newer or this is the first thing that you have sold, if you have something that is complementary, I would definitely consider adding an upsell on to increase that average cart value. Now, on the other hand, on the other side, you can also consider offering a downsell. Now, this is very important to note that downsells are not offered until the launch is over. A downsell is for someone who said no to your main program. So it could be like a stripped down version of your course, or like a little bit of it, or a self-paced version of your full group program, or a piece of a resource if you were selling like an entire bundle, for example. Now, I would not make this something regular that can be sold or purchased, I should say, within your ecosystem, your offer ecosystem at all times. I would make it extremely limited, thinking like 24, 48, 72 hours, something very timed. And honestly, I would personally only offer it to people who had registered for your launch event. I would not offer it to your entire list, because then you might see people take the smaller version instead of your larger program, who, didn't even get the full pitch for your larger program, and then you've lost out on future sales. So if you have something that you can offer just to people who were registrants of your launch event, very limited time, like 3 days or less, this can be great to do things like recover revenue that might have been lost for people that weren't going to end up purchasing anyway. And it can still offer value for people who weren't ready for your larger offer. That doesn't mean that they won't purchase later on. You can do things like giving them a coupon that's worth the price that they paid for the downsell to upgrade later to the full program. Just because they've bought from you now, if they purchase the downsell, this is going to increase your customer base when they get in there and see how great even your downsell offer is. Because they've already bought from you, they are going to be way more likely to later on make a future purchase from you as well. The sixth piece that you could add on, and this is the biggest one, this could be a whole other episode, but we're not ready for that just yet, is adding on affiliates. So these are partners who are going to promote your launch in exchange for usually a commission on sales that you make when you actually pitch the offer. So affiliates can be very complicated, arguably even more complicated than something like a pop-up community. You want to make sure that you're choosing people that know you, that you know them, and they would trust your work and feel comfortable like promoting it. You'll also need to provide things like copy, graphics. You'll need a whole system for them to actually have affiliate links and share it. Thrivecart, Kajabi can do things like that. There are definitely other softwares, Samcart, but those were just some that I was thinking of off the top of my head. And it can be a lot of extra work, especially if you're doing like follow-up with affiliates, making sure that they have their links, making sure that they're promoting. It can become cumbersome, but it can also have a super great reward if you have affiliates who are really working on your behalf. And affiliates can be super great. They can have a lot of benefits. If it is something you want to try, will you let me know actually and DM me on Instagram if affiliates are something that you want me, or send me an email to talk about more, because I do have a lot of experience managing affiliates with summit launches and bundle launches, and even actually a course launch previously. So if that's something that you might be interested in adding, I would be happy to consider an entire episode dedicated to affiliates, because there's a lot to think about and manage. But it can be really, really helpful to expand your reach without paying for ads, because you're basically borrowing other people's audiences. It can feel more like a community effort and not necessarily that you're launching totally by yourself, since other people are promoting your offer as well. And because these other people are quote unquote vouching for you, it can also be really helpful in adding in extra kind of social proof. It's like a walking, talking testimonial when people are promoting your offer to their audience. They obviously, hopefully, believe in it and are willing to share about your offer. Okay, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, where we talked about 6 different types of launch bonuses and extras that you can add on to make your next launch feel a little bit more like an experience and less like a one-time event. Some closing remarks, though: do not try and implement all 6 of these launch bonuses at once. Maybe choose 1 or 2 and add on some additional strategy and structure from there. Start simple. Only layer this on once you feel like your core launch is pretty solid. Choose the bonus that you're going to add on based on your strengths, your audience's behavior. Are they asking a lot of questions? Maybe you want to add on a pop-up training. Does it seem like some of the questions might be based around community and support? Maybe you want to add on a pop-up launch community for your next launch. Just remember, these launch extras can create energy, extra energy, deepen trust, and boost conversions, but only if they are added on in an intentional way. If you want some help managing your launch extras, make sure you are on the waitlist for the next round of the launch reno. The link is in the show notes. Thanks so much for stopping by to hang out with me today. If you want to learn more about how we can work together on a launch strategy or grab a freebie or one of the resources I mentioned, head over to duxburydigital.co/resources. I'll be back here next Tuesday for more practical strategies to take your business from chaos to conversions.